Hello, everyone. Let's now look at section 1.3, design of experiments. So we want to classify in statistical studies. So we have two types of studies. One is called observational study, and the other one is called design of experiment. So in an observational study, researchers merely observes what is happening or what has happened in the past and tries to draw conclusions based on these observations. Researchers simply observe characteristics and take measurements as in a sample survey. So here are some important notes. The first one, an observational study is one in which the assignment to treatment groups is not made by the investigator. Observational study can review only association, observing data that already exists. So when you look at a statistical study, you look at all these important notes here. So whether the study is following these categories, if yes, then it's an observational study. Let's look at the design experiment. So in a design experiment, researchers manipulates one of the variables and tries to determine how the manipulation influences other variables. Researchers impose treatments and controls and then observe characteristics and take measurements. So a couple of notes here. A randomized experiment is a study in which the investigator assigns the treatment to the experimental units. So experimental units that is individuals that are studied, or we say subject when it is people. To the unit at random. So that's the first one. And the second one, design experiments can help establish causation. Now it is not only association. We can actually establish causation based on the design experiment. And the data do not exist until someone does something. So that's the difference between observational study and design experiment. So let's look at the practice problem. Classify the following studies. Study 1, 20 nude mice with tumor were randomly assigned into two groups, an equal of 10 mice in each group. One group of mice was given treatment A, and the other group was given just placebo. After 2 months of study, measurements of the tumor sites were recorded. So which one it is? Design experiment, right? The investigator assigned the treatment to the experimental units, which is mouse here. And then data do not exist until someone does something. And then the causation, right? Establish causation. We want to look at whether there's a significant difference between the treatment and the placebo. Study 2. Several studies have been conducted to analyze the relationship between vasectomies and prostate cancer. So from the first sentence, we look at the term here, right? The relationship is more like a association. Then it's more towards the observational study already. But let's finish. The result of one such study by this researcher appeared in the paper. And then the findings are 113 cases of prostate cancer among 22,000 men who had a vasectomy. So this compares to a rate of 70 cases per 22,000 among men who did not have a vasectomy. The study shows about a 60% elevated risk of prostate cancer for men who have had a vasectomy. So here we more of observing data that already exist, and plus the researchers are really looking at the association. So then study 2 is a observational study. Okay, now let's move to section 1.4, the last section for this chapter. Bias in studies. Bias is the degree to which a procedure systematically overestimate or underestimate a population value. A study conducted by a procedure that tends to overestimate or underestimate a population value is said to be biased. A study conducted by a procedure that produces a correct result on average is said to be unbiased. And one thing to mention here is that a big sample size doesn't make up for bias. For example, use bias method to draw a large sample. If we want to look at the average height for all SHSU students, right? That's the population. And then we do a resampling technique, all from the mass basketball team, so we can get a large sample size. And then that big sample doesn't make up for the bias because it's overestimated. Okay, that's all for this chapter. And don't forget the practice problems. So you can first finish the practice problem yourself, and then look at the solutions posted on Blackboard. All right, thanks for watching.